been released on you. All he can do is bark. مَوْلَاكَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِهِ لَا تَغْلِطَ. So your Lord let him loose, so turn back to your Lord to get control of him. That's what we said earlier. فَإِن تُحَارِبْهُ بِلَا اسْتِعَانَةٍ. If you try to fight him without help, بِهِ تَسِرْ بِذَاكَ ذَا إِهَانَةٍ. He says, then you will lose this fight. Don't try to fight shaitan without seeking refuge with Allah. We constantly seek refuge from Allah. That's what the Prophet ﷺ taught us. He says, فَرُبَّمَا تَحْقِرُهُ وَتَعْقِرُكَ إِن كُنْتُمَا وَحْدَكُمَا وَيَثْبُرُكَ. He says that you're going to think lightly of shaitan, and you're going to feel like I can take him on myself. And he says, if you do that, then he's going to get the upper hand on you, and yathburuk, he'll destroy you. He'll destroy you. Now, what he does next, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba rahimahullah, he actually gives two examples that the Prophet ﷺ gave from Bani Israel. From Bani Israel. So basically, guys, the Prophet ﷺ in many hadith, we were taught about some of the people of Bani Israel, right? From the nation of Musa. And so those stories were passed down to us, and many of those stories, the Prophet ﷺ would share those stories with us just because there's a lesson in the story. Do you understand what I mean by that? And so Sheikh Ahmad Bamba right now, regarding how dangerous shaitan is, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, he shares one narration from Bani Israel about a person by the name of Barsis. Barsis. Y'all know Barsis? Everybody knows Barsis. Hey, mashallah. Alright, so I'll break it down to you. وَحَسْبُكَ مَشْتَهَرَ فِي النُّصُوصِ مِنْ شَأْنِهِ مَعَ الْفَتَى بِرْسِيسِ. He says, enough of a lesson for you is what has come down through the Nas, through the Quran and Sunnah, regarding the young boy of Barsis. So it's like, well, who's he? Well, the story tells us that there was a young righteous worshiper, a monk, a righteous worshiper from Bani Israel, who was known for his ibadah. He was known for his worship. And the story, I'm just paraphrasing the story just because of time, the story tells us that he fell in love with a girl, right? And the story tells us, like, slowly, shaitan just kept getting him closer and closer and closer until the unthinkable happens. And we talked about this in our last sufficient answer. But shaitan slowly, khatwa, like, brought him to the point where they had zina, they fornicated with one another. And not only that, she got pregnant, right? And so and this man is known for his righteousness. This man is literally known for his righteousness. And so now shaitan brought him step by step by step. Now shaitan's not done. See, what did we say before? Al-kidhab yajurru al-kidhab. One lie pulls the next one. So what does shaitan say to do next? Kill her. Shaitan says kill her. Right? So now he does that, and her brothers, all four of her brothers, shaitan that night comes in a dream to them, gives them the same dream, that this is what went down. So they all wake up in the morning, and one brother's like, yo, I saw a crazy dream. And everybody's like, I saw a whack dream too. What'd you see? And he shared the dream. He's like, wallahi, I saw the same dream. So now the one who gave Barsis that thought is the one setting him up. SubhanAllah. And so now they find out what happened, and you know what happens next. Come on, man. Like, you already know what happens to Barsis after that. But the point, I mean, you can figure that out. The point though, the reason why he's giving us this example is never feel yourself comfortable from shaitan. Never feel like you've reached this point where I'm good. Like, he can't get me. No, the moment you start to trust yourself and I'm good, that's when he hits you the most. And so that's why he's like, stay on guard. Understand these tricks. Understand these suggestions. Keep your aql in front of you and keep the Quran in front of you. And no matter what, you keep seeking refuge from Shaitan al-Rajim, because he can set you up. So he says, فَلَا تَأْمَنُوا مَكَادِيَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Don't be secure from the tricks of Shaitan. قَبْلَ فِرَاقِ الرُّوحِ لِلْأَبْدَانِ. before the soul is taken out. He says, بِأَنَّهُ وَقْتَ الْمَمَاتِ يَأْتِي. He says, because at the moment of death, when your soul is leaving, shaitan comes. شَخْصًا, right before your eyes. لِكَيْ تَحْرَمَهُ الطَّاعَاتِ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he used to focus a lot on the last moment before we pass away, because he said that's the moment where shaitan comes the hardest. That's the moment where shaitan, there's actually a hadith, guys. Listen, this is a crazy hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said that when a person is on their deathbed, that shaitan will come in the form of their parents and say, yes, listen to this. Shaitan will come in the form of their parents and literally say, I died on the wrong religion, so don't die as a Muslim. And the person is seeing this. Now the Prophet ﷺ taught us this, and Ahmad bin Hanbal, there's a very famous story about Ahmad bin Hanbal, right? Where he's dying. It's a well-known story. Ahmad bin Hanbal was passing away, and they keep saying to him, say La ilaha illallah. And he's in and out of consciousness, and he keeps saying, La, no, 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 right? No, no. And everyone, when he comes back to consciousness, they're like, Sheikh, we were saying to you, say La ilaha illallah, and you kept saying La. He's like, no, no, no. I didn't even hear y'all. Shaitan was in front of me telling me I made it already. You made it. You're successful. You this with kada. And he's like, I kept fighting shaitan, and I was like, no, because at that moment is when shaitan comes the hardest. And so listen, the scholars just say it's simple. The way you live your life is what comes out in that last moment. The way you live your life, the things you did most in your life regularly, is what comes out in that last moment. And so for some people, it's La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. For some people, it's other stuff. And so that moment is a very difficult moment, and that's what he's making reference to. He says, لِأَنَّهُ وَقْتَ الْمَمَاتِ يَأْتِي شَخْصًا لِكَيْ تَحْرِمَ الطَّاعَاتِ إِنْ جَعَلْتُ اللَّهَ رَبِّي يَهُولُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَهُ إِذَا لِيَ يَسُولُ. He says, so make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your Lord, the thing between you and him when he attacks. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وَمِنْهُ نَفْسُكَ إِحْضَرْ. Okay, so now he's starting something else. Okay, so now, we'll probably stop here inshallah. So now, remember, he said, there are two things I need you to focus on. Number one was what? Nafs, or hawa, your hawa or desires, shaitan, and then the next one is your nafs, the lower self. Hawa is more desires, nafs is more your lower self. Now, we're not going to do it today because it's a long discussion. In our next class, inshallah, from this point now, he switches to the second thing that is your enemy. So all he's focusing on, guys, is this. I've given you the introduction. Now he's like, listen, I want you to know what's going to stop you on this path. I want you to understand. And so the first thing he talked about today for us was, number one, hawa. The solution to that is never let your desire lead you. Never let desire lead you. It's always intellect or revelation. That's it. Right? And number two, shaitan. And alhamdulillah, we were broken. We were given step by step, 7 steps. Seven stages that shaitan uses when trying to get us away from action. And so, khudhu hidrakum. Like, be on guard. Protect yourself and understand that this stuff is real. SubhanAllah. So any questions, inshallah? I think we'll stop there. Yeah, because the next section is all about the nafs, inshallah ta'ala. The nafs and dunya. So by the way, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba is known for his ability to wrap things up very tightly. And so if you want to remember, I taught you this before, but I want to remind you because now we're talking about the enemies. If you want to remember all of the enemies of insan in one word, what's the word? Oh, you don't remember? Nashhadu. You know how we say Nashhadu an la ilaha illallah? We bear witness. We bear witness, right? Nashhadu means we bear witness. So if you just remember Nashhadu, you remember all the enemies. Let me explain. Nash, noon, nafs. Sheen, shaitan. Ha, hawa, dal, dunya. These are the 4 enemies. Let me say, I got you. Nafs is your lower self. Sheen, Satan. Sheen, the letter Sheen is for shaitan, Satan. Next is nashha. Ha is desires. Hawa, desires. And dal, nashhadu, is dunya. He says if you just know these this one word with these 4 letters, you understood everything that is going to work against you in your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he just broke down basically 2 of them, Hawa and Shaitan. And he broke Shaitan down deeply. I hope everyone gets how deep he really, really made us understand what things he's going to say to us. So may Allah give us tawfiq, inshallah. Any questions before we go forward to next? Yes.
So number 5 for Ghazali is ujb, right?
Ujb, naam. Yeah, ujb, like you become proud of the deed that you did. And remember, guys, depending on your level, remember we spoke before, like in the beginning stages of your spirituality, like you want to feel good about the action you did. But you want the outcome to be that you want to do more, not that you felt like I did enough. Right? So there's a healthy like balance between ujb, or feeling proud of the action, and being happy that you were able to do a good deed. Does everyone understand that? I want everyone clearly to understand, like, it's okay to feel good about an action, but don't make it to the point where you're proud about the action so much that you feel like you did enough. You always want the action to end up where you like, I need to do more for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the same concept when we serve people. When we serve mom, when we serve dad, we serve society, it's like, no, I didn't do, you know, people are like, I'm negligent in my duty to you. Right? Subhanallah, some people host you, and they do so much for you, and then they say like, I didn't do enough. You're like, subhanallah, man. You gave me everything. You're like, no, I could have given more to you. And that's the mentality we want to build inside ourselves. Right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Let's make a short dua, inshallah. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله وإليك يرجع الأمر كله علانية والسر. Allah, we ask you to give us the reality of whatever we studied, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, and give us the ability to act upon it, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Ya Allah, we seek refuge from Shaitan and his trickery, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. We ask you to guide our hearts and protect us from our desires, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to give us the ability to control our lower desires, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. And we ask you to give us the ability to stay in your remembrance, so that we cannot be affected by the whispers of Shaitan, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.